Hello, and thank you for joining me. If you're here looking at this page, it means that maybe you've got a Windows server and you'd like to manage it with Ansible. And if that's the case, you've come to the right place. So this is not using WinRM. We're going to be installing OpenSSH onto our server, our Windows server. We're going to use Windows 2022, and then we're going to set Ansible up to connect to the right port with all the settings that Ansible needs to connect to a Windows server. Then we're going to test that works with like WinPing. Then we're going to create some playbooks and run them against our server. So quite exciting. I'm going to do this all from scratch. It's a live real-time demo in AWS. So I'm going to bring this over now. This is the where we're using. Right, okay. Get rid of those. So I'm going to start a new server. So it's a completely new from fresh, so you know I'm doing this. So Windows Ansible. Okay. So we're just going to pick this base one. Now you may already be using Windows Server. I don't have one, so I'm going to use this. And I'm going to pick my key, and I'll create a password as well. I'll bring it off screen, create a password, and come back with my key. And that's it. I don't need to do anything else. SSH rules. I'll sort that out later. Okay, so we're just going to create a T2 micro, basic. Everything's basic. I've given it my PEM key. We're going to launch that now. Okay, so that will just take a few seconds. So it's real time. So I may chop the video, but yeah, it's kind of real time. So let's look at only instances that are actually running. Okay, now this will be a few seconds before we see it pop in. Once it's kind of in there, then we can start doing some of the other stuff that we need to do. So it is a real-time demo. I've got a whole lot of information here that I'm going to be using to sort of cut and paste for this demo today, but I'll make this available in the description, so you can just cut and paste it straight in if you need to make an example for your example at home. Okay, so it's now running. So first thing you need to go and do is just wait a few minutes. While it's initializing, I can't get the password. I just have to wait a minute for that to pick up. So what we're going to do, I'm going to create my environment for Ansible. So I'm going to call it WinSSH directory, just to keep it all in one place. Okay, and it's an empty directory. Let's check here. Okay, it says running. We'll give it a go. So we select it, do connect, RDP, get password. So that's ready. So I'm just going to pop this off over here while I use my key. Okay. So I've got the password. I'm just going to copy that, stick that into my document. And to be honest, I don't mind if you know the password, because this server's going to, once we're finished, this server's game. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So it's made it really small. It doesn't normally do that. Right, let me make it a bit bigger. Okay, right, we're ready. So let's bring this back over. So I'm not too worried about you seeing that. So you put your key in, you get a password. Lovely. That's what we're going to use. But I'll destroy this at the end, and that password will never ever be used again. Okay, so it's still initializing, so let's have a look at it. One thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to need it in a bit, is just to open up port 22. So SSH, obviously I've created it already, so I'm just adding that to this VM, and then we can use SSH later when the OpenSSL is installed. So now what we need to do, now that we've got our password, is we're going to connect, and actually I don't need this. Select it, grab the public DNS from my PC, do, okay, so RDP, launch that, put our one in, and show options. So we're going to put in the administrator. That's the user. See, for Windows, it's like root for Linux, and connect. And the password here. I just don't want that extra space at the end. There we go. Okay, so let's log in. So this will bring up a new RDP. Now, I'm not a Windows admin. I don't do very much in Windows. I sort of learn what I need to learn to be able to make this stuff work. So there's going to be people that know more about this than me, and that's great. So you'll just be able to take this, take what I show you to the next level and actually make it work for you. That's no problem at all. Okay, now it's only a T2 micro, so it hasn't got a lot of memory. It's a bit slow. So that's going to slowly come. Here we go. So we're just going to wait a second. It's got a few more bits to do yet. And then once that's finished, we're going to actually run some of these commands. We're going to check to see what we've got OpenSSH wise. And then I think client comes as standard, but we're going to install both of these. Then we're going to start up the SSHD service. Then we're going to set it to automatically start. Then we're going to set up the firewall rules so that we actually have the SSH connection. And then we're going to log in from a Linux server. So let's come down here and open up PowerShell. Let's drag this down a little. There we go, it takes a second. So we're just going to start with the first command. So this is going to just tell us what it's got OpenSSH wise, and it's going to tell us if anything's installed or not. So we can see that the client's installed, but yes, that is present. But I'm going to do both in case you haven't even got the client installed. And again, these commands will be in the description, so just cut and paste them out of that. Okay, it gives us this little banner, tells us it's running. So even though it's command line, it feels sort of GUI-ish as well. Right, so that's that one. That was already installed, so it didn't take long. We'll install the server now. Sorry if you caught me yawning there. Okay, so it's getting there. And then once this finishes, we'll start up the SSHD service. Let's get in there slowly. So for me, this is Ansible to manage Windows in the same way that it manages Linux. As long as you have the right variables that control. There we go. So as long as you have the right variables in place, you could just run Linux and Windows playbooks together. It doesn't matter. It will just take the host inventory. It will look at the host variables that you're using, and you'll see soon. And you can just run Linux and Windows together, and then Ansible will work out the difference based on the host inventory file and the variables. Right, so that's started up. Now let's set the service to start up automatically. And then now we have a little script to run. None of this is mine. I think I found it all online, and it wasn't simple. It took me a few goes to get all this working and together. Okay, so that has now set up a firewall rule. So if we go back to our server, our Linux server, we should be able to log in. So I'm going to get the IP address. From here. And then I need the password. That's a good sign. Password's over here. Let me grab it. God, Windows.Word does this thing where it adds an extra character on the end. Okay, and I'm in. So I've installed OpenSSH. I've logged in from Linux box over port 22 as the administrator user using a password. You can set up SSH keys. I'm not going to go into that today. This is just a real basic demonstration of how to get SSH working on Windows so you can communicate with Ansible. Okay, so that's brilliant. So I don't need to do anything else. Prove the connectivity's there. Ports open. Lovely. Now we move on to the next section. So in this directory, I don't have anything here. So let's do okay, so I don't have anything here. I'm not even going to create an Ansible CFG file. So let's just VI the hosts. I need a new keyboard. Mine's rubbish. Any recommendations, put them in the chat. I've got this Logitech one and the keys just stick and it's like I have to really bash them just to make them work. So not good. Recommendations appreciated. Right, so this file, I'm just creating it now. Yeah, and we'll put the IP address in of the Windows server. Public IP. Now I just use, you can use the public DNS if you want. I'd like using IP addresses. Now let's put the password in. Scroll back up. Okay, so let me explain some of this. So we're using Win, that's our host group, Windows, and that's our IP address. If you have more than one, you can list more than one there. Then Win variables, these are all the variables that are associated with this host group. So because it's Windows, we're giving it the administrator user, we're giving it a password, we're connecting over SSH. Don't have to tell it a port, it just does that automatically. Now, I've seen online that people have said this should be PowerShell, but I think it depends on your Windows server. So if CMD doesn't work for you, try PowerShell. You know, if you know why, feel free to explain it in the comments, not a problem. There's some SSH arguments, just about strict host keys checking and I guess it's to make the connection easier. How many retries, and then a become method of run as. But we're using administrator, so I'm going to leave it there. But because we're logging in as administrator, we're not actually using that, I don't think. So let's save this file. T's the end one, right? Save that, and now we're just going to run. Let's go back down. A simple win ping. So that's what I hope it works. Here we go. Okay, because I haven't told it the inventory, so let's tell it the inventory. So -i host.ini -m win ping. Here we go. It's taken a while. Oh, it did it. Yes. So there you go. So we've done win ping. Now win ping only works if it can log into the box. That's it. Even though it says it's ping, it's not really ping. Let's do it again. See if it's quicker this second time. But the fact that's a success means that we've connected, credentials are correct, settings are correct. We can now go and start running our playbooks. There we go. We've got another success. Fantastic. So the playbook that I'm going to set up initially just does some PowerShell scripts and pulls out a little bit of information about the server. I don't really know what it does. I found it online. It seems to do something. So let's do win ssh.yaml. Okay, now let's cut and paste this in. So if you're familiar with Ansible, this shouldn't need too much explaining. We're running it on the hosts or on the Win host group. We're not gathering any facts. So yes is default, so we have to explicitly say no. The task is just doing this command, get host, and then it's just displaying the result of get host as like a debug command. So you run it, you run get host, you collect it as this register, and then you do a display the result by using this variable, which is this, and that's it. And it just pulls it out for you. So let's save that. See what I mean about my keyboard? Right. So now if we do Ansible playbook -i hosts and then win ssh.yaml, because we're logging in as administrator, I don't need to tell it to become any user. I don't need to give any passwords because it's already in there. This is now going to run a playbook against the Windows server over SSH using a password. Okay, it seems a little slow. It's probably got something to do with the fact that the Windows server is only a T2 micro. Is it even a gig of memory? I don't know, but it's not a lot. Okay, there we go, and it's done it. So it got get hosts, and then so it ran the command to do it, and then this is what get host contains. So it's information about the server, which is great. So just to prove that we can do some other stuff, I also found on the internet some Windows. Should do this again. Set paste. I say it every time. I need to update my Vim settings. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install Apache. You know, very similar sort of thing you do on Linux boxes all the time. And this is so we're going to create an Ansible examples directory. We're going to then download the Apache installer from this URL, and we're going to put it in that destination low folder. And then we're going to make it tell it to do it. So if it doesn't want to, so if it's there, it would say, "Oh no, you're already there. I don't do it." But we're going to force it to do it again. And then you're going to install it, and you're just going to run the .msi. And you want to make sure that that's present. So Ansible will take care of all that for you. So if we save this, before I run it, let's just go on the box, write Apache in here. Right, there's nothing called Apache on this server. No results. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So now we're going to run the same playbook, WinSSH. This time we've got the Ansible Apache install happening. So I'm not going to do anything with Apache. It's really just an opportunity to just demonstrate it works. So it's going to add the directory. It's done that. Now it's downloading the installer. There it is, Ansible examples. There's the installer. Now it's there's the package. Now it's doing the install. That's cool. It's not too big. Only 5.5 meg. Okay. And it's done. So if I now come back over here and I try and write Apache in again, there we go. We've got some Apache stuff that wasn't there before. So the playbooks are working over SSH. We installed OpenSSH on the server, and that pretty much is everything I wanted to cover. And it's pretty basic. Have a look in the host file again. You know, that's what you need. You know, if you know anything about Ansible, you can then, you know, Ansible vault off that password so it's not visible. And just add to your playbooks. Start managing your Windows servers. So I hope this is helpful. Subscribe, like, all the usual stuff. Yeah, if you like it, share it, and just let me know what you think in the comments. So anyway, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye bye.